Hello, 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 and welcome back. It's been a while. I haven't been live in feels like ages. I have been busy with life things, and honestly, every time I want to go live or like I have an opportunity to go live, Scarlet also has the same opportunity since our lives are very interconnected. We usually have time to stream on the same days. So I've been letting her take the slots. Eventually, I think it's just gonna have to be us streaming at the same time, and people are gonna have to choose between mom and dad. But that's not right now because I haven't had anything that I've wanted to stream super bad. But I figured since I'm off work today, I'm on vacation, that I would hop on and stream a little bit about some of the builds that I did for Scarlet's Summer Showcase in Tinky's Summer Showcase. And so, talk about the RVs that I built for her, and then a couple of the other small items that I built. I've only got a couple hours before I need to take a shower, so that way I can meet up with Scarlet after she gets off work for our date night tonight. We're gonna just do a dinner and a movie. So hopefully that will be a good time. But yeah, so first let's. Okay, I guess we got. Oh, I still haven't updated this command. Oh, hey, Foxy, thanks for the lurk, dude. Oh, banana milk. Gross. Oh, I'm skim milk today. No, thank you. That is rude, milk command. Very rude. Ugh, no thanks. Uh, well, thanks for the lyric, Foxy, and I hope that you enjoy the car balling. Oh, we'll have to car ball together sometime. That would be fun for sure. So yeah, skim milk. God, that's so awful. To be honest, it's been so long since I've been in my stream that I don't even remember all of my commands. So I'm gonna pull up my own command list real quick and make sure that I'm not missing anything. Yeah, yep. Oh, I didn't realize I made this command. I can give a big kiss to everybody. That's nice. Oh, when did I make that? And I do know this one though, at least. Yeah. There we go. There's a hug for Foxy for hanging out with the lurk. Okay. So let's hop into Planco. Do I have a button for that? I do have a button for that. How nice. Okay, so on these deep dives, I kind of like to go through um, my thought process, I guess, in terms of like how I got to the build and kind of what I was thinking as I went through. So, okay, cool. Love when it disconnects from the server like that. So basically, like, first off, it's getting hot in here, so I'm gonna turn on the fan. Um, but I like to kind of just skim through the catalog, especially when I'm doing a build that like I don't really know where to start. So I and let me know if that fan gets loud or anything. Um, yeah, I'm doing a dive into the pieces that I built. Aw, thanks, Foxy. I'm doing a deep dive into the pieces that I built for your uh, park for Tinky's Summer Showcase. I figured when we do your deep dive for your park, I wanted to focus on your work and having you kind of talk about all the things that you made, and I figured we wouldn't really have much time to go into the details of what I built. And I didn't want to like take away from the focus on your park, so I figured I'd just do it separately. I wanted to stream while I have a little bit of time. Cheeky, hello, thanks for being here. As a reminder, don't forget to find out what milk you are today. Oh, yeah, your stuff's not that complicated. Yeah, you definitely won't have enough to talk about. Almond milk, okay. A healthy dairy alternative. Oat milk, another healthy dairy alternative. I got freaking skim milk. I was like, what? Me? I don't think so. I'm not watered down in any way, shape, or form. You guys know that's true. You're always oat milk. I need to add some more options apparently because it likes to focus on like 4 out of the like 10 options that it could give. I did. That was a how did you do that? That's more your stuff. Pea milk. I need to add whale milk and talk about how thick it is. Yeah, they make milk out of everything nowadays. It's insane. Um, but yeah, Scarlet, you can talk a lot about the decision making process. It doesn't. I feel like you don't have to necessarily only talk about what pieces you used and the techniques and everything. Thank you, Scarlet. Yes, anyone that's here that wants to check out the Discord, Scarlet and I share a Discord, so we're both paying attention to it and contributing to it and interacting with people. So if you want to hang out when we're not streaming, come check out the Discord. Yeah, look at those Scarlet emotes that Phil made. Beautiful. You know what? And just for that, let's go. I was gonna give Phil a shout out, but I can't think of exactly how he spells his username, so I'm not gonna risk it. Actually, maybe I can do it. Let's see here. Yeah, nice. Knight Philtorius. Does he have like any like numbers or anything on the end? Let's see. Does this work? Let's see if this works. Hey, okay, that's it. I nailed it. There's a shout out for Phil. Yeah, he's working on emotes and stuff for Scarlet stream. But he does stream, and he said I have some insider knowledge that he might be doing a stream this weekend. So, fingers crossed, everybody. Guess who gets to try Dubai chocolate? I don't know anything about Dubai chocolate. There's special chocolate from Dubai. That sounds awesome. Cheeky, give me a bite. Break me off a piece. Look it up. Is it super decadent? I bet it is. Everything in Dubai is decadent. Chocolate from other countries. I hope it's not like spiced chocolate. Hey, yeah, that's actually true. I'm not going to argue that one. American chocolate is not good. There's very few American companies that make fancy chocolate. Local chocolate places you can get good chocolate from. But, yeah. Okay. Dubai chocolate. Style of chocolate bar filled with kadif, chopped phyllo pastry, and a pistachio tahini. Oh! Okay. That sounds like a weird amalgamation of chocolate and, why is my brain not thinking? Baklava. Somewhere in the middle there. Sugar crunch in my teeth with American chocolate. Yeah, you're imagining things. Yes, thank you. Please let us know. And I assume that tea is referring to dinner, in the way that you Brits like to. Yeah, as I was saying about the build, an abomination, cheeky. Okay, I will grant you that like mass-produced American chocolate is pretty subpar, but there are plenty of chocolatiers like local chocolatiers that make delicious chocolate. Like Kilwins. Kilwins makes good chocolate. Um, is there even a cocoa bean in there? Not a whole cocoa bean. What are you, crazy? Jeez, cheeky. Shows how much you know about chocolate. Um, yes, French bakeries in the U.S. So, like, I guess those are French. So it's like French chocolate, but I don't know. Okay. All right, back to what I started this stream to talk about. No, I love the conversation. I'm happy to have it. But I am going to try and circle back to the actual build process when I'm able to. So, for this build, I wasn't really sure where to start. Like, Scarlet had talked about using the bus, but I wasn't sure that I liked that. I kind of wanted to build something new, so I was like looking for other options. Actually thinks about Duski. So I was like grabbing pieces. I basically just like to scroll the catalog and see if any pieces jump out as me as potentially useful for the build that I'm working on. So for this one, I needed to make some RVs, and Scarlett said she wanted a few different kinds, maybe a few different colorways, and so I was trying to, you know, there's different variations on RVs. There's like the bus style ones. There's the ones that are like trucks with like a cap on top. There's the ones that you tow behind your truck. There's little pop-up ones that are like really small. So I had some options and I was trying to figure out what was going to work. And so I went through the piece catalog. The boat, I thought maybe I could like cover up a bunch and use kind of the front end. Hey, Six, what's up, man? Thanks for being here. If you want to see some crazy on-the-fly digital effects work along with a very nice and enjoyable person, check out Six if you haven't already. He's wonderful personality and his streams are always fun. Just working. Yep, that makes sense. I'm on vacation this whole week, so because we took a family vacation earlier in the week and I just took the whole week off so I could have a few days. Because I work for a university and the semester starts on Monday, so I was like, yeah, I'm just going to take time when I can. Lies. No, it's not lies. Six is a wonderful person. Very fun streams, so if you like fun, check him out. Try and go hang out in one of his streams. Oh, here, I think. Try and fix my camera a little bit. There we go. I gotta get a little bit of that light in the background. Makes me wish I had more PTO. Definitely. Proof is in the pudding. Exactly. Go check out a Six stream, and you'll find out for yourself. So I gathered a bunch of pieces, and as I was going through the catalog, I was like, maybe I could cover up this boat and kind of use the front end, because that's going to be really hard to do. And I was like grabbing pieces for potential wheels. I thought this, you know, obviously this is like a cool little thing that I could put on the back. Proof in pudding. By eating it, duh. This was like a window I thought could work. Some round windows that might work. Some other pieces I thought could be like bumpers or like cover up pieces of the boat. This, I was like, okay, this could work as a window. Maybe something with this, I don't even remember. Grab some like lights to make new headlights or a grill. This piece I thought could work as like a bumper. I thought I could maybe morph this into a front end grill. Proof is in the pudding is a shortened version of the older idiom, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. meaning the true quality or value of something can only be judged after it has been tested or experienced firsthand. Ah, well, you can't know if a pudding is good without tasting it. The phrase's meaning extends to any situation where the results or outcome of a method, product, or claim determine its effectiveness and validity. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for that insight, Scarlet. Yes. Cheeky. Yes. It's in quotes, and so it's important to copy and paste effectively. Yes. I was about to... Oh, you were copying and pasting that exact sentence. I gotcha, Cheeky. So yeah, I was thinking that maybe I could turn this into a grill, like the front grill of a vehicle, the verticals and stuff. And I thought, you know, I might be able to use that to shape some areas. Same thing with this. I was like, okay, this might be able to be used. I was like, okay, this could be a back carrier. I thought I might be able to use these pieces to build like a front end. And I was like, okay, a ladder to get to the roof access and stuff. So that's kind of where I started. I also grabbed like the front end of this spaceship, this van. I thought I might be able to use this side of the van for like the front end. And then these I thought might work as like the front glass, similar to like how this is shaped, but building my own. In the end, it turned out that just using the coach piece and shrinking it down from its original size was the best plan. So, getting into how we got to this final product, and I'll kind of go through each of the different versions of this that I made. So, the first thing that we had to do is we had to figure out... Here, let me grab one of these. Oh, there we go. Let me grab one of these real quick and bring it over here. So I had to figure out how to cover these upper windows because this wasn't gonna fit with the idea that it was like a smaller like RV. So what I did, and we'll be able to see this on the back side a little bit easier, is these are just these oval cylinders that I pressed into the side right on the border of the windows, like right here and right here, and just overlapped two of them. Oh, the second one's kind of hard to click on. Get out of here. There we go. Huh. Alright, well apparently all I can do is click on the... Okay, anyway. I sunk some ovals into the side to get rid of the windows up top. What? Learn my builder terminology. What terminology? Hi, Tinky. Oh, what's for dinner, Tinky? And can I have a plate? So then I also had to cover up the doors here because obviously this doesn't fit with the whole personal RV thing. Yeah, okay, whatever, Scarlet. Jeez. Yes, I sunk it into the side. Hell yeah, I'm gonna get some Dubai chocolate from Cheeky, and I'm gonna get some dinner from Tinky. So I took a couple of these metal alloy walls and sunk them in as deep as I could get while still covering up the windows there. And I probably should have covered up this no food symbol because that's not accurate anymore, but honestly, I didn't have it in me to care about that at that point. I do have a deep appreciation for food. And not stealing, asking for people to share. Because I'm considerate. So, sunk those in to cover that up. And I had to decide on, like, colorways as I was doing this because I needed all of these pieces to color match, obviously. And I didn't want to have to go through... ooh, yeah, post some pictures in the Discord, please. I didn't want to have to go through and, like, recolor match everything, especially if I was going to be syncing pieces and overlapping. I would happily mooch with Luna. She seems like a beautiful babe. Like a babe like a small child, you know, not like a babe like a hot lady. Just to be clear. So I decided to start with a black, like an all blacked out version, with a white border. Obviously I had to take, like, not straight up white because it was just way too cartoonishly contrasting. So I matched the blacks on here as best I could, sunk it in, to cover up the pieces that I didn't want. And then, you know, colored everything. You can color the mirrors and all that. But to be honest, like... to be honest, I felt like a lot of what was here was good, right? Like, that's the whole reason I used this bus, was because I knew it had a lot of the features that I needed. Get out of here, pigeon! And so I wanted to take advantage of that and use a lot of the natural design that's already there. But some of the things that it needed was things like storage. So this piece I knew would work as like a good roof rack. As two now, she can be a hot lady. Enough for her to be hot? Okay. Yes. Yes, it's good to have good boundaries like that, Scarlet. And you're doing great. So, I took a couple of these to make roof racks, and I overlapped the center bar, which I thought looked cleaner and looked more like it was intentionally built as a double rack instead of two things pushed together. Yeah, 2 is just a baby. She is XXX. What? I didn't end up putting anything in the roof racks. I kind of ran out of time for that type of detail with this build. So I just left them empty. I figured that was fine enough. And I was like, okay, if I have time, I'll go back and maybe add some stuff up there. But there's also a lot of storage in the bus style design, so I wasn't too worried about it. And then with that, I needed a ladder, so I just sized up that little ladder from over here, added it to the side, sunk it a little bit to where I could get... So since it curves at the top, nothing is, like, perfect. Yeah, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that later. I did add a couple of items. I made some custom coolers, and I added some custom coolers to this back rack. So I colored this to match and sunk it in. I did need some extensions, so I just threw on some coaster supports to be extensions. And then, like I thought, when I came across these pieces, you can see this one's much larger. This one is pretty much the same size. They work great as racks on the back of this. So I sized this down, colored it to match, and set it on the back as a little storage section. And then I knew I wanted this to be like a bike rack, so in order to have anything on a bike rack, I needed to have bikes. So, to be fair, I did go looking on the workshop for bikes to kind of draw some inspiration. Honestly, if Scarlet hadn't have been completely against using any workshop pieces, I would have just used these bikes, because when I found them, I was like, oh, these are cool. They totally work. I like how they look for the most part. I was like, okay, I'll just use these. But she was like, no, no workshop pieces. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll reinvent the wheel, literally, and make a very similar construction. So this person used some pieces that I moved away from, like this rope piece and the seat, and they used the metal support pillar for the bars, which have these little rings on it. They also used 2 or 3, I think, of these pieces in order to get the spokes of the wheel, so it's like several pieces overlaid. And they also used rope as the chain down here, and like some other like different pieces. So I took inspiration from this. Here you can see, like, yeah. And I was like, okay, a lot of what they did makes sense and works. But I wanted mine to be slightly unique. And so, and I wanted to build it myself. So I skewed away from their stuff a little bit. I don't remember if I ended up adding this light to the final version, but instead of using the metal support pillars, I just used straight up coaster supports, which, in order to get the right thickness for the bars... Yeah, I'll get to that. In order to get the thickness the way I wanted, I couldn't get the length, so I had to overlap some pieces. And when I was building this, I was getting really tired with the build, and so I got kind of sloppy with some of it. Yes, we'll address it now. The seat looks kind of like a penis, which, if you've ever seen a bike seat like this, they do look like a penis. You know, I at this stage, when I finally made the seat, I was like, I just need something. I was like, this is fine. I gave it a little angle. Yeah, and I stacked a couple of them to give it some thickness, but I was like, yeah, whatever, that's it. I could have like tried to make the bumps here for the cushion and everything, but that was not necessary. This was a small piece within the RV. I didn't need it to be that detailed. Oh, we do have ads right now, but that's okay. So once again, just coaster supports. To make the forks, I just kind of angled them around, and you can see there's like a lot of slop with the way that they connect and their interaction with the tire. It just wasn't that important for this particular use case, so I didn't worry about it. Same thing here, like the connection here is not like well done. I did use 2 of these wheels. The cogwheel pieces to make the tires, so I just did less spokes to kind of differentiate it. I did use the same piece for the front, but I used this. This is actually the period from the 3D font, Noto, instead of these wire things. I didn't like the use of the wire loop there. So I wanted to get away from that, so I did my kind of like funky overlapping for the forks, and did like another center here. This is another coaster support to be just like this beefy axle in the front. So once again, this is all a bit sloppy, but it got the point across. Some flanges and, excuse me, some more coaster supports for the pedals, and some just a straight up circle shape for the gear. And then I used the metal support beam to kind of look like a chain. I didn't like the rope effect, so yes, flanges. This is a coaster support for large flange. And so I just put these in here because I figured it would give kind of that look of a chain. And once again, just kind of sloppily connected it. I didn't need these to be perfect. I just needed them to give the right effect when they were on the back of the RVs. So, moving back over to the RV. And we're about to come back from the ad break. So we'll wait for that. Okay, welcome back from the ad break. So I kind of just went over a bunch of the details of the bicycle. You know, like I said, it's sloppy. These connections are not the greatest, but it worked, and I recolored them for each RV. So this RV was designed to appeal to my style and taste, and I like purple, and green goes well with purple, so I did purple and green for the bikes. This is the submarine rail, sorry. I did add the lights on them, so my bikes have lights, and I think they look pretty decent, especially just as like an item on the back of the RV. I think they fit well. Then I had to figure out a way to do like the awning, which is such a like key piece for an RV like this. And I went through a lot of different pieces. Ultimately, this mythology shop awning was the quickest way to do an awning. I could have tried some other pieces and made it a little more custom. Thank you, love. But once again, I was kind of like on a bit of a time crunch and didn't have the energy to do everything exactly the way I wanted. So I just sized up this mythology awning, and the detailing is not my favorite, but it's okay. And when you color it the same, like it blends well enough. Honestly, the main thing I dislike about this piece is these end caps on here. Okay, cool. I will happily make some more pieces for you. So I just sized it up and put it on here and color matched it. Just kind of accepted the fact that these giant things on the end were weird, and left it at that. Now, once I got to this point, it was very plain. And I was like, okay, this needs something to separate it more, you know? It needs some sort of cosmetics to it. So I started trying to figure out how I could add designs to these. And to be honest, this was not actually the first one that I did design. This was the second one I did designs for. I figured out the process on version number 2, the Tropical Partier, the Tropical Party Bus that I will show in a moment. But basically, I just took some wall decoration pieces and sunk them as deep as I possibly could while still having them show up. Once again, the fact that this piece, the bus piece, the coach, is curved here means that you get things like this, where the top portion of this sticks out more than the bottom. So I had to kind of accept a little bit of slop in regards to that as well, but most people, when they're looking at it, they're never going to notice that. And then I got lucky with a couple of things with these lines on the detailing. Some of the pieces I was able to sink deep enough to where the line showed up over top of it, and that really helps to sell the effect that this is painted onto the RV and not like something sticking off of it. So little details like that I think can help sell the illusion. And like, yes, this goes up onto the glass, but I also didn't give a shit about that. I was just like, whatever, that's fine. And so I just did a couple of simple stars on the back here, and then I was like, okay, I need a detail. This whole area is like super plain on the original. So I was like, okay, I need another star detail. So I found this another wall sign that's like the shooting star, and I was like, oh, that'll be perfect for the front. It'll give like the motion and the kind of like shooting star motif from the stars in the back and the black, making it kind of like this starry night effect. And whoops, I'm actually gonna pause the game. Damn it, I keep hitting the wrong key. And so once again, I just sunk this in as far as I could get it while it all still showed up, given kind of the curvature of the RV. And then I had to flip it and match the other side. So I did have to rearrange everything and kind of get it right. And you can see here, some of the pieces, they're so close in pixels that depending on what angle you're looking at it, you can see it or you can't. Once again, little things like that I just had to accept given the timeline that I had to build these in. Okay, so that is Starry Night RV. Next, let's go to... I got wild with this one. I wanted to do one that was like more like tropical and partying, and so this is where I started experimenting with the design pieces to get them on here. And I started with the pineapples and the watermelon, and then I was like, ooh, this splash is like perfect for like this splashing down. And then I was like, oh, I can get the sun in the background. You'll notice there is some piece sticking up from the sun because it has a bunch of things around it, but I only wanted the circle. I didn't want the rays. I didn't notice this little piece sticking up until way later, but it's whatever. Once again, to sell the effect and to try and make up for the oddities that come up with this technique. Oh, nice. I will check it out momentarily, cheeky. So I was able to sync the sun and get these lines from the detailing, which was awesome because the pineapples, given the fact that the fronds sit a little bit deeper than the base of the pineapple, and the curvature of everything, I couldn't sync this enough to get the line effect on top of them and still have the whole pineapple show. And you can see like here, the little tip gets cut off. It's whatever. So I did some pineapples here, and then I did the watermelons, and I was able to sync this one deep enough to get the lines. This one I couldn't because this wave piece, the way that it goes over all of these different heights, I had to set it to where I could see the whole thing, and which meant I had to sync the watermelon a little less. So I sunk all that, and I was just willing to accept this. I figured, hey, it's a feature, not a bug, maybe. And then later on, I was like, I need another fruit, and I sunk the bananas, and the bananas actually sunk really well. So these are multiple bananas that I stacked on top of each other to make a bunch of them. And I sunk them once again to get the detail lines over the picture, which I really think helps sell the effect. Like I said, like if there was none of that interruption, I think the defects of the other pieces would stand out more. I think the fact that you can see some of that tricks you into believing that all of the pieces are on that same flush level, even though you can't see the lines through all of them. And it kind of helps make it look like a design, a decal on the RV and not these, protruding pieces like they actually are. Once again, same concept, did the ladder, colored it properly. Up here, I changed the railings to match the coloring of the RV. yeah, I really liked this design and everything. Back here, oh, I was testing out a steamer trunk on this one. I didn't end up going with the steamer trunk. I went with the custom coolers that I made. But here, I recolored the bikes. So we've got like a teal bike and a red bike. I didn't want it to be exactly matching the RV. Oh, fuck yeah, I sucked some bananas. Sucked them right down my gullet and into my belly while we were on vacation. And so I wanted to color them like fun colors, but not as intense as the rest of the VRV. I didn't want to match it perfectly. I felt like that would be too homogenous. And so like you want themes in the like color design, but you don't want to make it like strictly like these are the only colors that exist. So like, you know, adding in these pieces helped give me more colors to go along with the orange and blue base colors. And then these, you know, bicycles, they're not as bright as everything else, but they still fit well as like these are actually bikes that these people own and not just set pieces that identically match the RV. I did have to kind of recreate this to match this side. Yes, I am very particular. I like bananas just as they're starting to ripen, like just past green. I like them to be firm in my mouth, so when I can feel them in my mouth, like bite down on them, and like my teeth actually have to cut through them. I don't like mushy bananas, and I don't like the intense banana flavor as they get really ripe. I prefer the early stage of ripeness with a banana, nice and firm. So as you can see on this side, the bananas and everything are towards the front because I had to make a decision if I was going to take this decal and mirror it across to where the wave was still pointing towards the front, or if I wanted to take this decal and make it like, okay, they put the decal on this side and then they took the same decal and put it on the other side. I decided to go with the decal stays the same instead of its placement on the bus stays the same, which did create a little bit of awkwardness with the syncing of the pieces. Foxy. Created a little bit of awkwardness with the syncing of the pieces because, like, on this side I've got these pieces here that I had to deal with. You can see, like, a little bit of issue with the wheel well here in order to get this down to the bottom, and the bananas are over the window now, but whoopsies. But I didn't want to worry too much about it. I was like, this will still sell the effect. It's all good. Some of the stuff goes over the window, and that's totally fine. So yeah, that is the Tropical Partier. And once again, I added some custom coolers on the back in the final build. And now we get to our third one, which is the Lotus, which was designed for Scarlet. So initially I just started with the Scarlet coloring with this deep red, went with a pink accent. I thought that kind of went nicely together. And then I was trying to figure out, you know, I did the bikes. This one I did do bikes kind of matching colors, but I thought it went well, and these were totally reasonable bike colors. I did want to make a white bike because I thought it looked nice with the contrast. So as I was going through here, I was trying to figure out what to do for these sides. And so I started making this, and so there's this wall sign that is a, let's duplicate this and I'll kind of show you. Let's, where is my, oh yeah, so this, yeah, I could have, but I was doing things while you were busy a lot of times. So I was like, I'll just do things on my own, figure it out, and do it as best I can. So I didn't have to bother you as much, because you were building furiously. So I found this piece, And I was like, oh, cool. I saw that I could alter all 3 colors, and I was like, okay, I could use this as like a petal shape, and just recolor it to do something cool. And so I started laying them out in this pattern, and I was like, oh, that looks like a dope like lotus flower. And I was like, that's perfect. So I tried initially coloring them all the same, but I wasn't super happy with that, because it looks. Oh, and am I getting the background piece right now? Anyway, I didn't like how it looked as one color, so I tried it out, changed the color, and I was liking it, but it was still too plain with just the 2 colors. So I decided so one benefit of the fact that these are not actually decals. Nice! Good job, Foxy. Crush those noobs! Yeah. Scarlet, you could write an announcement for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to do a deep dive into my Good Nice Gift showcase build that I did for Greg. And Greg is actually going to join me over Discord voice chat. So we can talk about all the things that I built for him. And kind of get his view of things and his interpretation. Which I think will be a lot of fun. That'll be tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time. Is it Eastern Standard or is it Daily Savings? Whatever. Eastern U.S. time zone, and then that'll be like 5 p.m. UK time, which would be 6 p.m. German time, I believe, Foxy. So this was like too plain. And so the fact that these are not actually sitting in the wall, they do have a little definition, gives them some like shadowing and some shading. So I took a second piece, made it a little bit bigger, and set it to the same depth. So that way I could create this outline around the whole lotus flower, which then gave me the completed look. So it's 2-tone leaves with this darker border around the whole thing. And then I took that and I shrunk it down. I did have to make a couple of minor adjustments, but having just one big lotus on the side I felt was a little awkward. So I shrunk it down and added one over the rear wheel well. And then did the same thing on this side and added one to the back as well because it kind of fit perfectly. So I was like, yeah, let's add one to the back. And then I wasn't sure what to do with this front section. I was like, I don't want to do like another lotus. I couldn't get it small enough to fit up here. I probably would have just done like 3 small lotuses across that area if I could have gotten them small enough. But since I couldn't, this is my left hand, right? Yeah, okay. Since I couldn't get it small enough, I was like, oh, I'll just write Lotus with some letters. So I found like some letters and some fonts that I liked, and just sunk them into the side as much as I could. And then once again, flipped it around. Thanks for the alert, Charcoal. I appreciate it. Enjoy your milk drunk nap. Yeah, I really like how this variant turned out too. Like the colors look so nice together. I thought the lotus flower turned out well with especially like the little detail of like adding the outline with the slightly larger pieces. I was pretty proud of that. It's something small, but it makes such a difference in the impact of the design of that piece. Yeah, and so I wrote Lotus. I tried to make it like kind of fun, with like the wonky kerning and sizing, and then colored the awning properly, and bam, we had our third variant, which is the Lotus variant. So then Scarlet was like, okay, I need another version of the RV. And so I was trying to figure out which like what I wanted to do. So I was like looking at all my pieces and trying to figure it out, and I was like, I don't know what to do, blah, 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 blah. I decided to make a truck-style RV, like a junky kind of RV. And that led me to this monstrosity. This, this junker monstrosity here took a lot of work to get to a stage that I felt was mildly acceptable. I still think it looks shitty, in a lot of ways, but it's okay. It served its function. Once again, really all I needed was for it to give the overall effect, kind of like the general effect of having the truck style junky RV, and this accomplished that. Thank you, Cheeky. I appreciate that. So I started with the van. So you can see inside here is one of these vans that I recolored to give kind of that beigey off-white look that a lot of these old style RVs have. And I was like, okay, I will just layer and build everything out on top of it. The wheels on this are way too small. So I brought in the coaster attachment race car wheels. And so I was able to set a wider wheelbase that would make more sense, or an elongated wheelbase that would make more sense with the kind of length of one of these RVs. Because the van here, the rear wheels are much further in, so I was able to set those out. And then as I was kind of investigating pieces to try and figure out, okay, how can I do this? The sci-fi pieces all have a little bit of this wear and tear on their edges to give it that kind of like gritty sci-fi look. And so that worked perfectly for the kind of theming that I wanted to use on this build. So I started just with some big window pieces and sunk in some... Initially, I sunk in some glass to get that glossy effect, but it didn't look right because of the stuff behind it and everything, and so I abandoned that, and I sunk in some rectangle solids that I colored into this deep gray to give it the look of, like, tinted glass. I guess I should say... So before I did any of these pieces, actually, I built a shell out of these metal alloy walls. So behind all of these pieces are these metal alloy walls. Thank you for that, Scarlet. I appreciate you. So I built, like, the structure, and it took me a couple tries to get the shape that I wanted. But then that served as my base, and then I layered all of the detail pieces on top of that, so that way, places where I didn't have, like, a perfectly shaped piece... Wait until I read it. Oh, boy. I would have the metal alloy wall behind it, because that has some texturing that gives the effect that I wanted for the structure. So you can see it's like kind of that hammered texture, which goes well with the sci-fi pieces that I knew I was going to use. So I started kind of layering on pieces. I did the window pieces, and then I was like, okay, I need to fill in this bottom area. I made sure the walls came down between the wheels and everything. I liked this piece sticking out a little bit. I sunk it in to remove some of its shape, so like it's like got this whole thing here, and you can see there's the wall piece behind it, and so I sunk it in, and we'll just undo that so we can get it to the perfect spot again. Took one of these little light panels here, and then I was like trying to fill in this back space, well, first I filled in this upper space, so I just overlapped a couple of, there's two versions, there's this version and then this version, so I sized it up to fit this area here, and you can see this piece extends all the way to the top, but it's all like blank up here, so I grabbed this to give it some more dimension and shape, and, you know, this would essentially be like the backside of the cupboards inside the RV, so I figured the fact that they protruded would be totally reasonable. And it just kind of gives it some dimension and some feel to it. On the back end here, I took this panel. I was like, okay, this looks like kind of like a electronics-y service panel. That all makes sense enough. I think that works. And just add some detailing with some doodads and such. And I put in like one of these pieces in the background. Some more sci-fi paneling. And I can't remember if I did one under here or not, but I was trying to find other pieces that looked like worn out metal, and I realized that the aquatic metal signs have that same kind of feel to them, with this kind of damaged metal, old, worn-in kind of feel to it. Very reminiscent of a lot of like the gritty realism sci-fi stuff, where like things in space are all broken down and damaged, but they're still holding on. So I just used the blank sign, worked as just like a wall piece with some definition, and then I took this other sign, the arrow sign, and just kind of sunk that on there. I was like, hey, this looks like a thing that fits, and I colored it like a deep gray to give it like a faded black look, and the arrow can also be interpreted as like pointing to the service panel, and I was like, yeah, boom, 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 looks good. And then there was still some blank space here. I wanted to add some more detail, so I took this little greeble panel and I shrunk it down as small as I could and sunk it in to give another little like kind of vent and doodad section. And then I took an outlet, electrical outlet, colored it to match and sized it down a bit, I believe, and kind of put it on here as outdoor power attachment to run off of the RV's power, or potentially the electrical hookup for hooking into the power of the camping area. And so that led me then, so I kind of like pieced all that together, and then I was like, okay, now I have to do it to the other side, but I don't want it to be exactly identical, so I had to figure out like how I wanted to do it differently. Initially I started off with just kind of matching the opposite side, and then I was like, okay, instead of doing the arrow sign, why don't I do like this other giant clunky arrow box thing with these cool tubes coming off of it. I was like, this looks like it fits with the theming, and maybe this is some other maybe this is the AC unit, and this is like pumping in air, and there's venting on the top and bottom, and this is pointing you to the service panel for that. And once again, put another one of these greeble panels. The door was actually a big difficulty for me because I've got these panels underneath it that I was trying to figure out like how to space things to fit properly, because there's a big, I don't know if I'm going to be able to select it. Yeah, there we go. So there's a big panel similar to this window panel under here. It might actually be the window panel, actually. I can't remember. Let's see. Actually, I can find out. Okay, no, so it's just it's one of the solid panels. But as you can see, when I remove it, it becomes super smooth and very plain underneath. But when I put it in, you've got all these little details and these edges that continue to give it that kind of gritty, realist texture that I was looking for. There wasn't a great door for this purpose, so I played around with a bunch of stuff, ended up settling on this submarine door, this aquatic door, with the porthole and everything. I thought that kind of gave the right vibes. It's not perfect, and the coloring isn't perfect, but I thought it was decent. And then I was trying to figure out like what to do on the sides of the door. And I was like, oh, well, why don't I just go with some lights? So that way, the door of the RV would be illuminated with these soft lights. And I think if we go... Yeah, they're not like extremely bright. They just kind of let you know where the door of the RV is. And you can see on this side, there's like a little light down here, so you can kind of see maybe the tire area. Yo, what's up, Joris? Thanks for popping in. Just kind of going through some details of my builds that I did for Scarlet for her summer showcase for Tinky. So let's go back to... we'll go noon. That's fine. That's what I built this at noon. Like the lighting was set for noon when I built this. So I just threw on some light bars and called it good. Now, this front section, the pop out like over top of the truck, that took me a while to get right. Initially, it was like extended a little too far. Scarlet suggested I bring it in, and that kind of like helped balance it a little better. I was using different windows. Initially, I had these windows, and I layered a couple of them to where I could kind of get this like double triangular window, but you can't recolor these windows, so I couldn't like match it in like the super like chrome structuring. It ended up not looking right, and so I had to delete that and get away from that, and eventually ended up just kind of go like, initially I shied away from these windows because they didn't fit the space perfectly, but once I recolored all of the alloy walls, like originally the alloy walls were gray because I wanted to be able to see what I needed to cover up still. My intention was to cover pretty much all of the metal alloy walls, and then eventually I was like, you know what? That's just not reasonable. Let me recolor them all to match the pieces I'm putting on top, and then I can use them with the pieces that I'm layering on top of them. That was a kind of a pain in the butt to recolor them once I had already put a bunch of stuff over top, but it is what it is. So these windows at that point ended up fitting decently. There's like this blank space on top and bottom, but I was like, you know what, I don't really care at this point. This window was essentially kind of like made for this, but it's also a little bit weird that it's like so plain. Once again, though, these were some of the details that I had to kind of just let go of, given the timeline of the build and everything. So I was like, this is good enough. If I went back and redid this, I would probably try and make this a little bit shorter. And, you know, resize everything to scrunch this down a bit. Because I think might be a little too thick. I think it should have been a little bit thinner. So I probably would have done... It's possible that these walls are as small as they... Oh, no, they're not as small as they go. I could have made them smaller. Okay, so that wasn't the reason. I thought maybe that was as small as I could get them, but it's not. So if I did this again, I would probably shrink this down a bit, or if I altered this, I would shrink that down a bit, but it was fine enough for that. And then I also added these two, like, kind of like skylights on top. And once again, we've got the sci-fi paneling across the top, so it's not just this flat, plain metal alloy wall. And then I put these bubble lights, these skylights on top, and I just sunk them down to be flush, and layered them over top of each other such that the bolts lined up perfectly to make it look like a little double window. Did the same roof rack as these. I just made it a single roof rack and I made it bigger. And then I threw... This is like just a piece in the game, this luggage bundle. Oh, and we have a 3-minute ad break. Fun. Gotta love ad breaks. They're so cool and so awesome. I might move to more frequent 2-minute ad breaks instead of the less frequent 3-minute ad breaks, because 3 minutes is just so long to sit and wait for stuff. So I'm just going to keep kind of pushing ahead for now. But basically, oh, is that so, Scarlet? You want to... You know what? I will wait for that. Remind me. Don't let me forget. I'm going to do the peach stand when everyone comes back from ad break, so that way they're not denied the beauty of such a feat. So don't let me pass it up. I will do it once everyone's back. So yeah, these luggage pieces are just in the game, so I just kind of like rotated them around to be stacked differently. Like originally it's like this with the luggage stacked up, but I was like, if I just turn it on its side, no one's gonna notice that like these aren't perfectly flat, and the jumbled mess like looks appropriate for the kind of RV that this is. And I just recolor it. Luckily, they're colorable, so you can color a bunch of different elements of it, which was great because that allowed me to reuse that piece a couple times and just recolor them to look different. In the final implementation of this, I did delete this out, and I added in some custom coolers up here. So there's one less pile of luggage, and then some coolers that I put in, and I'll try and show the final implementation if I'm able to. And then I threw on this. This is just a piece in the game, this aquatic storage chest. I just colored it to match. Threw it on the back here, set it off center so that way you can still get up the ladder and get over here. This is, once again, a ventilation piece that I set on top here to cover up kind of like the plainness of it all. And that gave us the top. And then I put the ladder on the back because on these types of RVs, the ladder's like always on the back side, not on the side of it. And made it a little bit longer, set it in there, which meant down here I needed to, once again, add some extenders. So just a couple of coaster supports there. Now, the back side, I did another window frame piece. And this one has like these bumped edges and stuff, and it's got like this slant, so I thought it worked like perfectly as the back end. And it fit really well, so I did that. Oh, ad break has ended. Okay, time for a peach stand. For this, let's go full screen. Okay, so the peach stand redeem is part of my... I'll throw in some full-on stretching. Oh, okay. Let's see. Yeah, so we'll get some stretch going. Stretch out the calves, stretch out the hammies a little bit here. Okay. Get a little bit of this action. You can see my belly here, if you're into that. Okay. Now let's see. Let's make sure that I can get good. Let's get my chair out of the way. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Now we're going to get this nice, deep stretch here. Really getting those hamstrings. Maybe give it a little bounce here. Oh, yeah, feel that stretch. Feel it. Yeah, get a little side view here. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that feels nice and deep. We'll rotate back around here. See if we can't get that. Yeah, okay, there we go. Oh, yeah. Bring the feet in. Really get that stretch going. Kind of get deep into it. Oh, yeah. There we go. That's a good forward bend stretch. Really loosening up those hamstrings. Getting up into that glute up here. You know, feeling that curvature, that form. Straight from the back all the way down to the floor. And then we can rotate back up. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, there we go. So that is a nice peach stand stretch. Nice. The Scarlet bite emote. That's perfect. Scarlet, was that sufficient? Is that enough? Was that good? Do you want a little bit more of the? Oh, let me just. Maybe a little bit of this. A little bit of the shaky. All right, there you go. I get more. Ooh, yeah. I look forward to that, Scarlet. I look forward to that indeed. Okay. Woo. Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you, Scarlet, for that wonderful redeem. I think that's the first time anyone's redeemed that. I'm also going to get a drink of water because now I am parched. So, I hope you all enjoyed the show. My beautiful, beautiful natural peach. Yes, the Oracle emote would be great. Okay, back to the deep dive. Thanks, Foxy. Okay, damn it. I keep doing that. Okay, so this piece, like, once again, it's these little details that kind of like happy accidents sometimes when you're just like going through pieces trying to figure out like, okay, what could work here, what works the best here, like what are the little aspects. I talked earlier about simple things like the lines coming through helps sell the idea that this is all a decal instead of like protruding pieces. Same thing with this. The overall shape and like slant of it and the protrusion at the top and the angle, the wedge shape really helps to sell this being the back end. It's just like that little bit where when you're looking at it, like this protrudes out here, you get some of that shape here, and then it tapers down and really kind of fits this kind of bulging top stacked on top of everything effect. So that was like a nice, happy, like perfect design that I didn't do anything to make this piece that shape, but shaping it and sizing it properly to fit in this space helps really sell that effect that this is the natural back end of this bus. And then because this doesn't extend all the way down, I added on another one of these greeble pieces, kind of sized it to match there, got it to the width, and then I took there we go. The aquatic wall light number 2 has this little cage around it, and I was like, oh, perfect. I'm going to make these tail lights, and then I'm going to size one up a little bit, and I'll make a higher up rear brake light. And I colored the lights inside of them. Another thing that's nice about things like this light is colorable. So I was able to make it the proper color for like brake lights / tail lights. And then I actually moved next to the underside here. So this all looked way too plain because it was just this flat edge of the box that I had made. And once again, it's these little things that your eye catches onto that sell. Oh, and you can actually see a little. I didn't even realize you could see a little bit of the van wheel under there. Never even noticed that, but nobody else is gonna notice either until I point it out. So, like, the little things that sell a build like this, I think, are these little shape details that make it look more natural. And so, because this was all super flat, it looked weird, right? It didn't look like there was a wheel well, and so there's not a lot of good like curved shapes that I could fit in here that could make a proper wheel well. Here I kind of relied on like this is actually all just like jutting into this, but it kind of sells the effect and it doesn't look super awkward at a glance. So back here, I was looking for some pieces that would work, and I found these pieces, which, if we slide one out, I found these pieces, and I was like, ooh, that'll work as a back bumper, I think is where I started with this. Or maybe I did start it with the wheel well. I think maybe I started with the wheel well because I was looking for something. And so I put the piece here, I flipped it around, put it here, and created a little bit of this shape over the wheel well. And like, the bus here extends back, so that kind of helps fill in that space. And then I took that piece and I sized it up a little bit. And then I just duplicated it to be kind of the back side under here. Gives it a little bit of shape. And the back end of it with this centerpiece that's a different color really gave the look of a bumper. And I thought that that worked out really well. And then I wanted to give it a little more detail back here. So I took the coaster attachment, the chopper exhaust, and I sunk them into the point where they looked relatively natural here. And like, they're not perfect because of the way they're designed. They're kind of asymmetrical. But with the way that I was syncing them and rotating them and everything, I think it came across pretty decent to just kind of look like exhaust pipes on here. And then it still felt empty back here. It still felt like there's too much space. So I took these spaceship lander pieces, which are these big old like feet looking things. Supposed to be landing gear for a spaceship. I darkened them up with the coloring. And then I placed them under here with the hopes that they would kind of look like a piece that might extend down as a brace. So once you like park and you want to use this more effectively, you extend this down and it braces the back end of the RV. So that way you can put a little more weight on it and have a little more stability. So that was kind of the intention there. So I just kind of angled it and shifted it around a little bit until it looked fairly natural. And I gave it that angle to where in the back end it wasn't like protruding down a bunch. Whoa. Okay. I gave it that angle so it wasn't like protruding down too much. But over here I did want it to be a little bit lower and have a little more shape to kind of frame in the wheel. Exactly, you need a brace for the bed end. That is right, Scarlet. You know what's up. And so angled it there and kind of filled in that gap, and added on this piece here. I thought could work as like the license plate holder, and then just wrote Junker in some text and set it onto here. I really hate the text that you can edit on signs. It never looks right to me. It never looks right to me, so I always just grab the floating text and just place it on top of the piece that I want text on for signs and stuff, because I think it just looks better, and you can center it better and size it better. So I pretty much always do it like that. And then the final piece was the awning. So it also needed an awning, but since it's this shitty camper, I was scrolling through pieces to use as the awning fabric, and I found this marketplace decoration. And so I colored it that blue, that like kind of classic blue coloring. I think it's blue. Hopefully it's blue. It's too small. And so so I colored it to be like that blue tarp, that classic like blue tarp I think that everybody knows. And it's like perfect because it's all like tied and ripped and stuff, and like technically the physics of this doesn't make sense. If this was ripped, it would like fall. But I said, fuck it, I don't care. it gives the effect I want. And then I just took a couple of poles here, some coaster supports, I think, plain support beam round one thin. To get the right thickness, I had to test a couple of pieces. The coaster supports were too thick, so when I got them thin enough, they were like really short, and I would have had to layer too many of them. So I looked for a piece that would better match the what I needed, and so this piece I only needed 2 of them. And yeah, so those are like the poles that you would tie into the ground, and you tie on your tarp here, and boom, you got yourself a truck style RV. Blammo. Lunchtime! Delicious. 6. Do you want to fill us in on what you're having for lunch so we can all live vicariously through you? So those are the RVs. I did 3 colorways of the bus style and then 1 colorway of the truck style. KFC, ooh. What are you getting from KFC, man? So 3 colorways of the bus style, 1 colorway of the truck style. I considered doing a second variant of the truck style, and Scarlet was like, stop putting so much time into this. I need other things. So she moved me along. Spicy wings, wedges, nugs, and a biscuit. Dang, dude, that sounds delicious. And yeah, the healthy stuff. You gotta be healthy. You gotta keep it fit. I know how it is. And as per usual, I use these statues to get scaling. So I used them for the bus over here to try and scale to make sure like it all made sense. And same thing here. I think this proportions look pretty correct for a Planco person. A Planconian. So, next up, Scarlet wanted me to make some beach chairs. At this point, I was pretty friggin' tired. And so I was like, yeah, let's try and make these as easy as possible. So first piece I checked was the subway rail, or submarine rail, sorry. Keep saying subway rail. And then I took that and I just stacked a bunch. That was before I had these in there, so it looks like this. Fairly ugly, but also somewhat reasonable. And then I just did one down at the bottom to get the frame, and then I did one at the front to cover up that front, and I did rotate this around. Did I? Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. So these all go like that. And then I took the Marketplace Decoration 7, which usually has this two-tone coloring. So I just recolored them to match, overlaid a couple because one wasn't big enough, and just accepted the weird jankiness of the build, like this edge and everything, and I was like, boom, here you go. Here is a beach lounger. And then I also knew that there were these curved subway rails, submarine rails. Damn it, subway rails. I keep saying subway rail. Submarine rails. So I was like, okay, let's try and build one that just uses this as like the kind of like curved lounger shape. And so I took two of those, flipped them around, put them inside each other. You know how it is. And they actually don't line up perfectly. I could not get them to match perfectly, so there's a little bit of oddity with that, but I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then I just took some coaster supports to create the pieces to be the legs, and took that same padding, put it in the center, there's 3 of them, and rotated it a little bit to match the curve, and bam! You got yourselves 2 variants of a beach lounger. And I thought of this one as kind of like the fancy, like, beach resort kind of loungers where they're trying to do too much, and you're like, this actually doesn't work quite as well as like a normal basic one, but it looks slightly more elegant. And so they put them in, and you're like, I guess this works. And then these were like the more like basic, practical. Here's a beach lounger. And you can see here a bunch of pieces that I had set aside, trying to figure out. Well, actually, I think these were actually the pieces I set aside for the next build, which was the grill. Scarlet wanted some. Yes. Oh, yeah. So Scarlet did make some adjustments to the beach loungers to color them in a way that fit the park better. Those were just like, I just chose some colors to be contrasting and like kind of beachy vibes. The way she colored them and adjusted them like helped them fit in better, and they look better in the park. Now the grill, I was pretty pissed about this grill because I just wanted there to be like a shape like this. And there just isn't, so I had to do the freaking thing where you stack a bunch of coaster supports like vertically to make a wall, which was a little bit annoying to me. Same thing with the bottom. There's just a bunch of them lined up. But it was fine. And then this railing here, I was like, oh, this... I didn't mess anything up, did I? Okay. I was like, this might be a perfect, like, grill grate. I thought I might have to use, like, this or this. You know, I wasn't sure what was going to work right. Or maybe, like, layering some of these. I also was experimenting with fire and smoke to see if I could build that in. So I just turned that sideways, and basically what I did is I made this as small as I could get it. It's down to 50%, and I just used that to be the size of the grill. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna... I want to use this piece. I'm gonna make it work. So I sized it and then built the like box around it. And these are supposed to be like the public grills that you see in the U.S. like at parks and stuff. And they're very simple. They're just a grate and like an area to hold some stuff. So I colored that to be more like silvery and did a single like thick coaster support on the bottom as the post that holds them up. They're always these just like single posts that hold them up, so they're super rickety, but whatever. And then I took a bunch of apples and colored them gray to be the charcoal, and then overlaid in some more bundles of apples with like a more reddish color to be kind of like the hot coals. And I was like, yeah, that, once again, it just needs to give the general effect of being what it is. And I felt like that accomplished that well enough. Pretty simple, pretty straight to the point. I did pull in this grill that was made by... Who made this grill? Grill that's made by somebody that I can't think of right now. It's not going to tell me who made it here. But in any case, someone in the Planco, in the Good Nice community, I believe, made this grill. I just can't think of who it is right now. So if you know who made this, it was a pretty popular build. They did several kitchen things, and I don't remember if it was Fuero or somebody. Anyhoozle. So I used that for inspiration, and that's how I came to the conclusion I was just going to have to do these coaster supports layered like that. But that's pretty much all I took from that. Fuero or Ginch, yeah. So, boom. Basic grill served its function and worked well in the park. And then the last couple things that I made were some coolers. So this one is just a aquatic storage crate that I believe I sized as small as it would go. Oh, not quite. I made it a little bit bigger. Okay, yeah. I could have made it smaller, I guess. I thought I had already sized it down, but I wanted it to be one of those big, like, cube chest, Nice, I'm glad yours. I wanted it to be like one of those big, like, rolly chest coolers that are like just big cubes. That you see in, I don't know if they probably have them in Europe too. I tried out this shape. This is a gutter end cap, and I thought I might be able to piece these together, but they didn't look right. I didn't quite like them just pushed together. And so I was like, okay, maybe I can put like a piece between them. And eventually I just kind of abandoned that idea. I thought this could look like those like styrofoam coolers. That's kind of what my intended plan was going to be for that. But I kind of abandoned it and made this one. I just colored this to be more coolerish. Like, this handle on top doesn't make a ton of sense. This number 2, not really either. I did want to give some like handle spots in here. So I just took this half oblate spheroid, and technically it should be jutting inward, but as I did this, I just like rotated it and I put it here, and as I was like glancing at it, I was like, that looks like a handle. The physics of it don't actually make too much sense with the shape of what it is, but I thought that it worked. Like, if this part is indented and not protruding, exactly, you don't really notice if it's in or out. And like when you see it from the side, they look like little handle holes still. So I was like, you know what? Once again, I'm so short on time. I was like, this gives the effect that I want, even if it doesn't actually make sense. And obviously one of these coolers needs wheels, so just a couple of circles, 2 or 3 circles, I think 3, stacked next to each other to make little wheels that I sunk into it, because normally they're kind of like in the cooler a bit. And then I just took some hoarding primary supports, which technically are wood, but nobody's going to be able to tell the difference. They look pretty plastic or metal-y to me. And then even smaller ones to come across the top. I think there's 2 or 3 of them here. I think is it just 2? And that becomes the handle. This box has these little like hinges on the back that you can't change the color of. Or like you can change the color of them, but none of the colors look quite right because of how shiny they are. So it's like, okay, I'll just break it up with the handle pieces and it'll look natural. Oh. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. And so I was like, yeah, boom, there we go. We got a wheelie chest cooler with a handle. These handles usually telescope in and out or slide down, and so I was like, boom, perfect, looks good. And then when I put these on the RVs, like I put some in the back here and stuff, I just took the handle piece, selected all these pieces, and just slid it down, so it looked like the handle was pushed down. Now, this, a more standard kind of basic white cooler with like the colored top, that's really popular over here. Once again, I was getting kind of desperate with time, and so I was pretty willing to accept imperfection. The roof trim piece, I was like, it's already colored like this, I think, from the get-go, and I was like, oh, that's like the perfect shape of the white cooler with like the slightly like tapered bottom and the top that's a little bit bigger. Hold on. Oh, why can't I snooze? Oh, I'm guessing Scarlet or somebody already snoozed my ads earlier. So it was like the perfect shape. I wasn't really sure how to do the ends, so I started with just these 2 side pieces. You didn't? Oh. It says I have no no snoozes left. Or maybe I just can't snooze it from OBS. I don't know. So, once again, I was pretty willing to accept slop. So, I took these pieces. Gotcha. I took the corner pieces for the trim, the matching, like, trim, roof trim, and put them on the ends. And so I had, like, these two... I had these two, like, walls, essentially, of the cooler. And so I was trying to figure out how to fill in the edge, and I was just like, you know what? Let's just take that same corner piece, rotate it, and we'll just make it a weird, bumpy side. And I was like, that works fine enough for me. That's all good. And then, obviously, once that was all put together, I had a giant hole in the top. Ooh, revealed a little bit of the secret there. So I just put a rectangle on top, sunk it in as deep as I could get it, and colored matched it as best as I could. Colors aren't my strong suit, so I did it as well as I could, and I told Scarlet she would have to check it later and color match it to her to better perfection. Now, the handles on the side, I really didn't want to use hoarding supports to make, like, the classic kind of, like, rectangle handle on the sides of these. So I was, like, looking for something that just had a handle. And lo and behold, the coffee mugs that you can put in the souvenir shop have a pretty reasonable handle. And they're white. So I just sized it up, I believe, as big as you can make them. Oh, no, not as big as you can make. As big as I could make it while still having it fit in here well. And just sunk it in to give me some handles. And boom, there's our second cooler. I think... You know what's funny? I think the bottom is open. I don't think I ever filled in the bottom. Did I? Nope. Yeah, so the bottom is just open, because I never did anything about that. I'm just realizing that now. But it's always sitting on something, so it doesn't matter. And boom, those are the pieces that I made for Scarlet's build for Tinky's Showcase. And I did start working on an ice cream truck. Using the van, and I put, like, an ice cream sign on here, some Gelato Bros, and I was, like, working on putting some speakers in. I put in this, like, chest here to look like a chest cooler, and I made this little piece, and I made these ice cream cones, and, like, colored them different colors, as if, like, they had just made these and set them up there. But I ended up not having enough time or enough energy to really finish this out. So this is kind of where this died, was partial completion of the ice cream truck. Okay, now let us... yeah, I don't think I made any changes that I want. Let us go into Scarlet's Park real quick, and I'll show you what they looked like in their implementation. Oh, what? God damn it. Whatever. Please kill the lady interceding for making my work life exponentially more difficult. Yes. Yes, you can. Once we get married, so that way I can get custody of Mini Scarlet. Because, as we've discussed, until we're married, that will be too difficult for me to pull off legally. Alright. So, I'm going to go into Scarlet's build, her park. Yes, you will have calmed down by then. Okay, so this is Scarlet's amazing build. Yay, Foxy! Powerball champion! Alright. Nice. My voice is getting a little bit haggard, to be honest, because I haven't been streaming lately, so it's tiring it out. So this is Scarlet's build that she did for Tinky's Showcase. Yeah, we're going to do a deep dive on this park tomorrow, I think. Or later tonight. Not sure yet. Maybe we'll get up early and do it tomorrow morning. No, not tomorrow, not tonight. Oh, next weekend. I'm sorry. We're doing it next weekend. Oh. Well, thank you, Yoris. Yeah, I have the other deep dive this weekend. Tomorrow I'm doing a deep dive on my Good Nice Showcase build. Magic and Metal that I did for Greg. And he's going to join me in Discord so he can kind of talk about how he received everything and his thoughts on it. And then we'll do a deep dive of this park next weekend. Okay, so let's go to daytime. We'll go to 11. That works. And let's go see my builds in action, where Scarlet used them. God, this park is so beautiful. I love how well it blends nature and parkness. Oh, dang! You completely changed these. What do you mean you kind of altered them? These are completely unique. Yeah, these aren't mine. These are awesome. These are way better than what I built. Holy shit. What are these? Oh, these are just in the game? Oh, what the hell? You didn't need me to build anything. There's one in the game and you made me build it? Jeez. I see how it is, Scarlet. Alright, oh, hell yeah. Getting funky. Oh, they have to be on a path. Gotcha. Okay, so here are my loungers actually in the park. So she did some two-tone coloring, chose some different colors, and I think that's mainly all she changed. Everything else looks the same on it. Laid a bunch of them out here on the beach. Super cool. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then I believe... yes. So she made these, like, canopy for, like, the luxury areas. And she did the other loungers in here, which she did some two-tone coloring and changed up the colors to fit the placement. And they look dope in here. Nice. This is awesome, Scarlet. Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, they're all, like, placed a little bit differently. Yeah. Some are shorter, some are taller. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I really like this implementation. Oh, yeah. They lay more flat. That makes sense. Yep. They look really good the way that you use them. Like, both of these pieces, I think the way that you ended up implementing my basic design works really well. Boom, here's the beautiful cliffside. She did not make a bangin' cabana like I suggested. I thought there should be a bangin' cabana up here for bangin', but she didn't go for that, so whatever. Man, this park is so cool. There's so many cool details in here. Oh, real quick though. We'll deal that later. Okay, so over here we have the campground. So this is where most of my pieces got implemented. Oh, there was some implementation of my coolers on the beach, I think. For banging, that's right, Foxy. So here we have the campground. Some cool in-game tents that she recolored. Then we'll start over here. We've got my grill here, some picnic table. We've got the Starry Night. And you can see back here, I added in some coolers. These ones I left the handles up because it's black. You can't see anyway. I didn't care. I just recolored the tops to be black and white to really fit with the build. And bingo bongo. Bob's your uncle. Another tent site. Once again, with our public grill set up. Couple larger tents back here. I added a grill to each site. Yeah, I missed the grills on the beach as well, but I don't think you altered them, right? Yep, here's the grill for this site. Here is our Lotus. And once again, I added in a different combination of coolers, just a single chest and a single regular cooler. Recolored them to match the theming. They're not identical to this, but they're some of the Lotus colors, the actual flower colors. And so that's cool. Over here, I did just 2 of the basic coolers. Didn't need to add in a chest cooler on this one. Just a couple basic coolers, and the coloring already matched. Once again, every site has one of these basic grills. Another Lotus one, and this one I did not add coolers to. So this one didn't have any coolers back there. Basic grill, and then for this, if we come in here, oh wait, what happened? Did I not save the coolers? Or is there's a second junker? Maybe I only did it on one of the junkers. Oh yeah, okay. I only did it on one of these. So there's 2 junkers in this park. Thank you, Tinky. It certainly took a lot more work to make, and I'm less happy with how it turned out, but overall, it gives the general effect, and I think it's kind of fun. So here, I deleted one of the luggage pieces, and I added in the coolers. And so I lowered the handle on this one, and I put these in here kind of like haphazardly, because I don't think this family is stacking stuff super neatly. So added a couple coolers up there, and kind of just helps complete the overall effect. I'm guessing Scarlet copied this after I added the coolers, and I don't think the coolers are technically part of the RV as it stands here, so that's why there's just a blank space. Thank you, Tinky. Thank you, Scarlet. I appreciate that. It turned out all right. I'm happy enough with it. Given the constraints on the build, I'm happy. And that is Scarlet's amazing and beautiful campground area that my builds helped add a little bit of detail and accentuate. And I guess we can swing over to the beach once more just to check out. Okay, so she added the grills over here to go along with the picnic tables. That's awesome. Looks great. And then, oh, there's a cooler set out over there. Somebody's using that. Oh, and then we've got a beach ball and one of the rolly chest coolers over here. Awesome. Bunch of pool floaties and stuff. Yeah, this is really cool. This turned out so good, Scarlet. I absolutely love it. Obviously, you gotta have big old porpoise over here. So yeah, we'll be doing a deep dive of this build next weekend. Scarlet and I will go over it all, so you kind of get a little sneak peek and Obviously, the Tinky's showcase of it is on her channel, Tinky Tours. So you can always go check that out. If you're not following Tinky, make sure to pop over there and drop her a follow. She does these showcases and stuff that lead to a lot of really cool builds. Everyone else that built for this showcase also did an awesome job. And yeah, like just look at how fucking beautiful this park is. It's such a beautiful mix of nature and amusement park, and it's like small and simple, but also like really engaging and fun. I really like how this park turned out. Yeah, just a really beautiful and amazing build, and I can't wait to go through a deep dive of how Scarlet did all this, and talk a little bit about the couple of people that helped her out a little bit along the way, like myself and Spawn of Satan, who did the majority of the lighting in the park. And he did an amazing job. So, awesome. Okay, well, I think that I need to go, let's just upload nothing. So that way it's not locked. And I do need to take a shower still before date night with Scarlet, and I need to drive out to her place to meet her after. Let me edit this real quick. Need to drive out to meet her after work, because we're going to go see the new Fantastic Four movie and go to dinner as well. So that will be really nice. By the way, if you're using the collaboration features, these change notes are really helpful. So I recommend, if you're doing a collaboration, even if you're the only person making changes, yeah, a real date. Thank you, Tinky. I think we will. If you're using this collaboration feature, I highly recommend you use this note section. Type out whatever you changed, whatever alterations you made, because that creates a really good change log for how you stepped through the build, and allows you to more easily identify reversion points if you need it. So in the version control, you can come through here, and I can see exactly what I did with each of these versions. Like, I'm the only person working in this park, but I left these notes for myself, so that way, if I needed to go back to an earlier stage in the build to kind of change the trajectory, I could do that. And so I have all of these notes in here to let me know exactly what I completed with each of these builds. So I highly recommend using that function. It is very helpful, and when you're actually working with other people, it's even more... Oh, no one could see what I'm doing. I forgot that I switched off. What I was saying is that when you're in here, if you click on a park and you go into Manage Park, and you go to version control, you can see all of your notes. So I was the only one working in here. I made all of these notes, like completed a blueprint in the truck style RV. So if I know that if I wanted to go to an earlier stage before I was done with the RV, I go to a version before that, and I can see exactly where I was at in the progress of the park and of the builds based on my notes. And that can be really helpful, especially when you're working with other people, so they know exactly what you've been altering and what you've made updates to, and it can help everyone stay on the same page about everything. Yeah, I totally get it. Sometimes you're just like too tired to really follow through on it. That's fair. I do that even at work with video production stuff sometimes because I just don't feel like it. I'm too tired and mentally burnt out. But in general, I think it's a great idea, and I highly recommend people use that notes function. to help with collaborations. All right. Well, my voice is officially a little bit hoarse, and I need to go rest it for a bit. And so make sure that I am good for tomorrow. As a reminder, you can check out mine and Scarlet's Discord. If you want to kind of stay up to date on our schedules, as well as have some fun and interesting interactions with the community, we've got a bunch of channels on there to kind of show off the different elements of our community. So, you know what? Let's. I can actually show it off real quick. Do I have a button for that? I don't have a button for that. Oh yeah, here. Let me find my freaking. Okay, here we go. Let me turn off the chat overlay real quick, so that way we can see better. So this is our Discord. Here you can see channel. This is just like whenever we go live, it's under the Moons and Milks live. So it's just an alert for us going live. And then in the community tab, you can see alerts for community members that are going live. And if you are in our Discord and you want an alert set up for your stream, just let us know and we can add it into this page. And here on the schedules, Scarlet has updated her schedule when she's making changes week to week. Any special events that are going on, we'll announce them here in the schedules tab, like when Tinky was doing her showcase. We posted that here so that everyone knew what's going on. And then you can see a little note here. I'm going to be doing a deep dive into the game shop that I built for the Good Nice Gift Showcase. That was a gift for Greg. So it'll be noon my time or 5 p.m. UK time. And Greg is going to join me. And so if you can stop by and hang out, man with the best speech. Thank you, Scarlet. Very sweet. Very sweet. Definitely going to throw my own little reactions there. So that is... this is a great place to see events that are going on that we're either involved in or trying to help promote that friends are involved in. And then you can see down here, we've got our general chit chat, talking about things. I saw this Lego Fortnite thing at Best Buy yesterday, and so I sent a picture to Scarlet and she posted it in here because the representation of the Colombo is just totally ridiculous. The Colombo is so nice and is such a good friend, but he looks vicious in this picture. So let's check out... Oh, and we also share, like, things that are going on in our lives, like Phil's tattoos. He was showing off here because he's going to get some new ones soon. And so he was talking about those. And then, like, wonderful pictures of me making weird faces and Scarlet's cute, adorable face over here. Yeah. And, yeah, that was way too expensive, too. You're right, Foxy. I'm making a weird face because it was super windy and very sunny, and I couldn't see. And you can also get sweet videos of beautiful waves. I don't think you'll be able to hear this, but if you were in the Discord, you could hear these wonderful wave sounds. Maybe even fall asleep to them. Who knows? All right, let's check out this Dubai chocolate that Cheeky supposedly posted. Whoa! Oh, cheese balls. Delicious. What do we have here? Cheeky, this is not what I was expecting. Oh, that looks very interesting and delicious. Nearly 2 pounds of chocolate? What? I regret buying it. Nothing compares. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. 900 calories. Damn. Yeah, once a year tweet. Or treat. Once a year treat. Not tweet. Oh. Cinnamon coffee cake while we're on vacation. Yeah. Tweet, tweet. So there you go. And a nice little peek into the Discord. You can kind of see some of what we talk about, like showing off delicious foods. Oh, yeah, the pastries from Canal, this French bakery near us. Oh, those were friggin' delicious. Some delicious food that Scarlet makes. She makes really good pancakes, so I had to show that off recently. But yeah, so a little bit of food showcasing, some beautiful fur babies. Look at these precious pups. Look at how sweet they are, cuddling each other, sleeping with their heads on one another. Freaking paws all nuzzled into each other. They were having a lot of anxiety. This is the first time they've been on vacation. Pyro posted some pictures of his beautiful pups. Look at those babies. Here's some more of Monroe and Chewy, Scarlet's pups. Aww, look at them. Oh, and there's Monroe giving me kisses because she's a sweet babe. Aww, hanging out in her toy box. Some awesome puppy pictures and videos from Artemis, and Mel posted her poodle is a cutie patootie. Aww. And beautiful black cats from Ethan. Some more beautiful pets. And then my babies that live with their mom, my ex-wife. Pixie being a crazy girl. I love her so much. And Oliver and Kobe being sweet kitty boys. Kobe was such a trash cat, and it was so great. I loved them so much, and I miss them every day. But yeah. We also got stuff like Tech Talk, where we talk about any technology that interests us. Like I helped Wave put together some custom PC part lists. So he was like working on building a PC, and so he gave me like kind of the list that he was working with, and I gave some suggestions as to like different parts to consider and some alterations, and he's using that list to as a guide to try and build his custom PC. So if you want to chat with the community, show off your Planco stuff, like, oh yeah, hold on, here we go. Does this answer your question, Spence? Is this peachy enough for you? That was the first like peach stand before it was even
stop.
Oh my
redeemed.
God,
stop.
Just doing it for you?
No one wants to see that but me.
Everyone wants to see that.
I'm hopping out.
Does this answer your question, Spence? Is this peachy enough for you? So, yeah, you can see beautiful things like this, like people posting about their Planco builds, like Leaf's amazing coaster that he's working on with all this awesome nature work kind of built into it stuff. So, cool place to hang out if you're interested. I'll drop the link once more in case you're not already in there. A lot of people that are here today are already on the server. But if you want to come hang out with us there, feel free to join. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing a deep dive of my build that I made for Greg in the Good Nice gift showcase. And that will be happening tomorrow around noon my time or 5 p.m. UK time. Yeah, so there's like a recommendation section for any like shows, music, stuff that you're or games that you're into that you want to recommend to myself and Scarlet and or the community that's on the server. And we've got some voice channels in there where people can hang out if they want to game together. And Scarlet and I might be doing some watch along stuff. So Scarlet likes to watch shows that I don't really like so much. So she might be looking for some people that want to enjoy those shows with her. And so sounds like she might start streaming some of that to hang out and watch shows with people. So yeah, join us. Keep an eye out for any cool things going on and anything, whatever Scarlet wants, she gets. Pretty much, yes. I am happy to please her in whatever way I can. And so hopefully you can all hang out with us there, and we would love to have you. And yes, hello, Melissa. I'm actually just about to end. In whatever way you cannot, too. I don't know how many ways I can't please Scarlet. It's pretty few and far between. So, yes, I am actually just about to end my stream so that way I can go take a shower. Hey, not a liar. So let me see who is on. Let's see. We've got... Oh, Charcoal's streaming right now. And Tempty Tulip is streaming. Sampalia. Okie dokie. Well, what's Charcoal up to? Shapes. I don't know what that is. But Imagineer Mouse is building in Planco. So since we were playing Planco... Aw, thank you, Melissa. I always appreciate you popping in. It's good to see you in here. I have not been streaming much lately, so you haven't been missing anything. It's just been me doing other things. Yes. So, yeah, let's raid into Imagineer Mouse just because they're playing Planco, and it looks like they're building something really cool. So... Oh, what the heck are they doing? Oh, they're actually like building like power and everything? Interesting. Alright, so I have started the raid, so hopefully I will see you over there. Thank you everyone for hanging out. I love you all, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!